So I had no idea how interested you guys would be on my thoughts about this whole situation, because the last video I made on it is a 1 in 10, and for those who don't know what that means, first of all, I envy you, but secondly, it just means that the video's doing really bloody well. So I want to start this video by thanking you all. Seriously, I really appreciate it. I'd bring up some lovely comments that I appreciated, but to be honest with you, you all followed the brief a little bit too well, and they were horrible, so fair play, I guess. Now, for those who haven't seen my previous video, none of that's gonna make any sense to you, so I won't dwell for too long. We'll get into this one. I just thought that I'd drop back in and cover some of the stuff that I missed out on in the last video, as well as address some criticisms that I received. But before all that, as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. I've been hearing recently that liking the video in particular really helps boost it, like, with the algorithm. I'm not sure how true that is, but let's give it a shot. I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so the first thing we should talk about is Molly before the whole dating content became a big, like, career move for her. Because before that, she was a girl who had moved to Turkey from the States to teach English, I believe, and she had 2 Turkish boyfriends, one of which was in a lot of her TikTok videos. I think we should cover this entire saga because it will add a lot of much needed context to the person that she is today.
I moved to Turkey because of the culture and the money. So back in the day, I had a Turkish boyfriend. It was a terrible relationship for many reasons, but one of the good parts about it was that he introduced me to Turkish culture.
Just to be clear, that first bloke there who's like daintily dancing with her is not the first Turkish boyfriend. That's the second one who she had like a whole saga with, and it gets fucking mental, so stay tuned, seriously.
Turkey always intrigued me as a country and a culture, so that's the main reason I came here. Second of all, money is a really big priority to me.
Well, that's one thing that's definitely remained consistent. Money is the top priority for her. Such a priority, in fact, that she will fake being domestically violent. That's not a real fucking term, is it, you idiot? You fucking idiot. I know this feels targeted because I'm looking at the camera. I'm looking at you as I say that, but I'm talking to myself. I'll look at the viewfinder. You fucking stupid moron! It's not a real term. Assaulted is the word you were looking for. You dunce. Anyway, this video is captioned rather forebodingly, by the way. Please note, the man in this video is my current Turkish boyfriend, who is an absolute gem. Which is amazing. What a lovely relationship that these two are in. I mean, look at these cute TikToks that they were making. As you can see, the content that Molly Rutter was producing a couple years back is very fucking different to the content that she makes now. So they broke up. I'm not gonna wishy-washy about. You already know how this ends because she wouldn't be going on so many dates if they hadn't broken up. They broke up, and it was a very sad day for the entire world. The world wept when Molly Rutter and her Turkish boyfriend ended their relationship. You've got the death of John Lennon, Molly Rutter breakup, and Tommy Fury Molly May divorce.
Oh, I have news. Me and my Turkish boyfriend broke up. We dated for about 1.5 years, and the breakup happened 3 months ago. It was a breakup completely initiated by him. From my perspective, there were quite literally 0 signs that this breakup was about to happen.
You will soon realize how ridiculous that statement is, by the way, because I feel as though most women in this situation would have been able to tell that a breakup was imminent. I don't know if this is something that people are aware of. I don't know if this is like a well-known point in the Molly Rutter saga, but this blew my mind when I first heard of it.
Shortly after the breakup happened, I was able to have a conversation with him where I had a list of all these questions, like, is our love real? Why are we breaking up? I just asked him the questions and he responded. I did not offer my opinion in response to any of these questions. I did not give a response even. I would just ask my question, why are we breaking up? Listen to what he said, say okay, and move on to the next question. Obviously, I have a bazillion thoughts and opinions in response to everything he said in this conversation.
I actually think so far this is fair enough. That's like a decent response to the breakup. She's not being too emotional about it, and, you know, thankfully she got the closure that she frankly deserves, so good on her. I will say, though, the question, was our love real after a 1.5 year relationship, is mental. In my personal opinion, I think even if you were to answer, no, our love wasn't real, I don't think it really changes much, to be honest with you, because you've already had the relationship, and your feelings were real, whatever his was. I don't know, maybe that's actually a half-baked thought that I should think more about, because if you truly love this man with, like, all your heart for that 1.5 years, with the, I guess, inclination that he loved you as much as you loved him, and then it turns out that he actually didn't really give a fuck about you, yeah, I can actually see how that would really fuck with some people. In fact, most people. I'd be scared of you if it didn't fuck with you at least a little bit.
I'm so grateful that I was able to leave this relationship with a super strong understanding of why it was ending. That is a gift. Anyone out there, if you get the chance to have a conversation with someone, especially when they're the one breaking up with you, I highly recommend doing what I did. I would recommend it to anyone. I had a list of questions on my phone. I asked them, I said nothing in response, and went to the next question. And then all of my thoughts that are going on in my head, because there was a bunch.
Unironically, really decent advice there, in my opinion. I don't think there's anything wrong with what she is saying. I will say, though, if you are to do this, don't be offended or surprised if they say, no, that's really weird, fuck off, I don't want to talk to you anymore, because at the end of the day, they don't need to do anything they don't want to. Like, if they want to break up with you, as much as they may owe you an explanation, if they don't decide to give it to you, I feel like you just need to suck it up and move on. Which, in a way, is partially the reason why breakups like that are so traumatic, because a lot of the time, yeah, she's right, you don't get the closure that you seek.
I'm excited for this new season of my life. I'm excited to continue to use this platform to share my experience living and teaching abroad, because it's super fulfilling for me.
Oh, if only Molly knew what was coming to her. I don't think she'd be as excited as she portrays herself to be if she knew that 2 years down the line, the entire internet would hate her. Some of it is deserved, and some of it definitely is not. Like, there are definitely people out there who take it too far. More on that later, though, because I want to get to exactly why she should have known this breakup was coming. Just have a look at this. The lyrics to this song remind me of that time I let my boyfriend have an evening with another girl because I was open to having a non-monogamous relationship. Then he proceeded to break up with me and marry her a few months later. As much as you might think I'm gonna fucking dogpile on her and take the piss out of her for not realizing the relationship was dead the second he even suggested the idea of an open relationship, you also have to acknowledge just how sad this is, because she was truly so infatuated with him that she was willing to let that slide. She was willing to let him, frankly, treat her like shit. Like, I know they're both adults and they can do what they want and they have the right to choose how their relationship goes, but the relationship is open for him, not for her. Like, if we're being real with ourselves here, the relationship was monogamous, he went to hang out with another girl, came back to her and went, I kind of want to open the relationship now. In my opinion, it means that they fucked already. It means that he's cheated on you and now he wants to change the rules so that he's not technically breaking them anymore. Maybe it's like a subjective thing, but if, let's say I'm in a relationship, if they even suggest the possibility of an open relationship, for me, I'm calling that relationship into huge question, or I am fucking, what's the word? I am interrogating them to the nth degree to see why they think it's appropriate to suggest something like that. However, I'm a little bit more sensitive, because even if they suggest the idea of, I don't know, a threesome, I think that that's also pretty reasonable ground to call the relationship into question, because it's like, am I not enough for you? Why do you want this so much? Who is it that you want to come with us? Is it like a childhood friend? Is it someone that you already knew beforehand? Because if so, it makes it a lot more shady. And this is where it becomes like an adult thing and a consent thing, and, you know, it's quite murky, because adults can do whatever they fuck they want, but I truly believe that she was being manipulated, and I believe that deep down in her heart, she knew the relationship was fucked, but she just loved him too much to accept it. So in all honesty, it's a good thing he broke up with her and didn't just string her along for the next couple of years, wasting more of her time in a relationship that realistically would have been dead. I don't need to do all this talking though, because she has made a video explaining the whole open relationship shit. So let's have a look at that.
I knew that if I mentioned the open relationship thing, people would have many questions and opinions about it. I understand with the way everything turned out, it seems as though it was a choice he made, and that's what led to him breaking up with me and getting married. But the fact of the matter is, I'm the one that brought up the open relationship. It was my idea, because I saw a way it could be beneficial and positive for me and him and our relationship. And I know that that's really hard for people to understand, and that's okay. If it doesn't make sense to you, then you don't ever have to be non-monogamous.
Look, as much as in the last video I said that I'm not a big fan of like publicly speculating on private matters like this, in this case, she is making a lot of it public herself willingly. Like, she is consenting to discussion around this whole thing. Commentary, as she states it is. And I personally think that she's lying to herself, at least to an extent, because if she was truly so happy with this decision and would do it again in a heartbeat, why is she making TikToks complaining about the choice? She says that I let my boyfriend hang out with another another girl because I was open to non-monogamy, and then he broke up with me and married her a few months later. That says to me that non-monogamy was not a good idea. You should have broken up with him there and then. It also sounds a little bit like he came to you and you found out that he was cheating on you and then used non-monogamy as a means to stay in the relationship, because the alternative would have been breaking up, which it seems as though you really don't want to do. I think ultimately you just cared a lot more about him than he did about you, and that's really fucking sad. Like, none of this, to be clear, is me taking the piss out of Molly. It's just me offering my genuine opinion on what's happened here.
It's not for everyone, and I don't feel a need to try and convince anyone otherwise. If monogamy makes you happier and more secure, then do that. I feel differently about it. I really believe that even if we never did the open relationship, I still think we would have broken up. Because we didn't break up because he wanted to go be with that girl. We broke up for separate reasons. Actually, he broke up with me for separate reasons.
I don't think it was for separate reasons, mate. I think he just didn't love you anymore. Like, why else would he shag this other girl? As much as those weird red pill alpha male fucking podcasts will tell you, oh, a bloke can shag another woman and still love their girlfriend, in my opinion, it means that you have no fucking respect for your girlfriend. Like, if you cheat on your girl, you've got no respect for them. You've got fuck all respect for them. If it was non-consensual, that is. If you're in an open relationship, it's like, it's whatever, right? And I would really be interested to see what polyamorous people think about this whole thing, because it's not something that I've ever done. I've never been in a relationship that was polyamorous. So genuinely, if you are in a polyamorous relationship, leave a comment telling me what you think about this whole thing, because I'm actually dead curious.
And then he had nowhere else to go. He was homeless. He didn't have a job. So he naturally fell into a situation with her. I don't think it had anything to do with the open relationship thing.
I think that's way too convenient of an excuse, to be honest, as well, Molly. Like, I don't think I'm reaching too much here to say that that was probably his plan all along. And it's the age-old thing of, like, if they initiate a breakup and then within a few weeks get with another person, they were probably eyeing that person up from before the relationship ended. And if they were shagging during your relationship and got married a few months after you broke up, he was definitely considering doing that whilst he was in a relationship with you. And some of you may be thinking, oh, it's Turkey, polygamy's just way more popular there. Trust me, buds, I'm from the Middle East. I know a thing or two about polygamy. And I'm not talking relationship-wise, I'm talking, like, people with 4 wives type shit. It's not something I've ever been open to, just to be clear. Like, that is not my vibe at all. But shockingly enough, from what I believe, I think it's actually illegal in Turkey. Like, you can be put in prison for 2 years if you're married to 2 people. So for this bloke to be open to an open relationship with you, but then get into a marriage, which by law strictly has to be monogamous, I truly don't think it's that much of a reach to say that the relationship was dead from his point of view for a while before it ended on your side. I mean, that's just my 2 cents. I wasn't there. I wasn't in this relationship, so fuck knows, but, you know, it's just an opinion.
And I don't really feel much of a need to overly explain it to people.
So one thing you'll notice is that these older videos, this one's from like last year, so we're creeping up to the modern day, but they are a bit less personal. I feel as though as time goes on and she's getting less and less views and she quit her job at some point, she's wanting to, you know, actually do well and make money. So she's probably become more and more personal and revealed more about herself as a result of, I guess, desperation to an extent, because she's still talking about this open relationship that they had to this day. Like, she's still low-key in love with this man, which is one thing, right? Like, that isn't the most uncommon or terrible thing in the world to still love your ex, right? I'm sure a lot of people do, and they just don't want to admit it. However, when you are in that sort of situation, the last thing you should do is go on your TikTok account with 100,000 fucking followers and post his face on the TikTok and talk about how much you miss him. Because, yeah, that's exactly what Molly is fucking doing!
I miss Turkey.
I mean this with full sincerity. Molly, you would benefit so much from just keeping a notebook or a diary. Shit like this does not go on the TikTok account. Not only because it's way too much information, which is one thing. I'm sure people, you know, some people are okay with that. Some people vibe with it. I personally don't, but some people might vibe with this much information being shared, this much vulnerability being shared. But you don't need to show any fraction, any speck of the bloke's face. He's fucking married now. Like, I don't know. I personally genuinely think that it's really weird to show the bloke when he got married 2 years ago on your public TikTok with hundreds and thousands of followers. I would be very uncomfortable with that if I was him, personally. And honestly, I'd probably sneak a message in to Molly being like, look, I understand that, you know, our relationship was like a big part of our lives, but For the love of God, can you not put me or any remnants of me on your TikTok account? I've moved on. Maybe you should too.
Beautiful apartment. Seriously, these TikTok memories really kill me. Because it's a lot of content with my ex, and I know him and I ended for a good reason, but it's just, I think about when the relationship was good.
Am I the only one who thinks this is weird? I know I've already asked the polyamorous people to leave a comment, but this one's open to everyone. Am I overreacting here? Because I think this is odd. I think this is really odd behavior. For everyone who's watching who has exes, imagine if they posted a video of like a FaceTime call with you and showed parts of your face in it about, and the video was like, oh, I just miss her, or I miss him so much. Would that not make you feel really uncomfortable, especially if you're fucking married now? Also, Molly, with all due respect, you need to delete the videos. If you want to move on, the videos need deleted. It's like when you get with a new person, you delete all the photos of your ex on your phone. Like, you don't keep the posters on your wall, the pictures on your wall of the romantic shit that you've done with your ex-boyfriend. That's really odd. And I see those TikToks that you've made with this bloke as like a sanctuary of all the good times you've had with them. He's married now, man. You need to move on. Because for as long as those videos are still up on your TikTok account, which you're using as almost like a diary sort of thing, just kind of implies that you can't get over him, which is strange because it's been a long time. And if you truly can't get over him, don't make it this public. Like, this isn't normal behavior. This is also what I meant by her getting way more personal this time, because this video was posted this year, like a couple months ago. And as we've already established, Molly used to be a teacher, and I want to use this next part of the video not only to criticize Morin's decision to do TikTok full-time, but also as sort of a warning or lesson for those watching who may be a bit younger and have dreams, because I hope everyone has dreams. They are beautiful. They make the world go round. But there's a certain way that you should pursue those dreams, and I don't think Molly's doing it the right way. So Molly's released like a 5-part video series where she explains in depth why she decided to quit being a teacher to do TikTok full time, and I have a lot of things to say about it. So let's get into it.
Right from when I was hired, it was actually on the radar of my school, because they right away noticed that I had this public platform and they asked me questions about it, and I was very honest with them. I said, look, I put a lot of conscious thought into how I present myself online. I stand by the content I create. I think it is completely appropriate and positive. And I said, and I intend to keep that platform and continue to be as conscientious about it as I have been. So it was very like open and honest right from the beginning when I first got hired. Then what ended up happening though is more and more people were reporting back to my school about my platform. And that's when the conversation started to get confusing.
Honestly, I do pity her to an extent, because, like, being a teacher and doing online stuff alongside it must be the worst combination of normal job and internet stuff, because being a teacher is just like, they're gonna find you. Especially if you use your real name online, the kids will find you. They Google all their fucking teachers. I remember we had, like, every teacher in our school get found out on the internet. And if you have a unique surname, oh man, forget it, you're done.
It first happened because apparently someone sent an anonymous message to my school saying that Molly Rutter dates younger men, is unfit to teach, and is not equipped to be under the well-being of children. Now, also this person made a reference to me being a 4th grade teacher, which is not true. I was a 3rd grade teacher. So I spoke with my school about it. Like, they're the ones that reached out to me and said, hey, we got this message, just wanted to inform you. And they're like, we have a feeling it's not someone in the school community, because I feel like someone in the school community would know what title you actually were. And so she's like, but I just want to tell you just to, you know, be more careful, you know, maybe someone's out to get you, like that sort of thing. So that really freaked me out, because I was like, wow, the evil people online are really gonna come for my career like that? They're gonna come for my livelihood like that?
I mean, to be fair to her, that is fucking absolutely grim. And I have no doubt it was probably one of the Reddit weirdos that did this whole thing. I don't know how they found out what school she works at. I don't know if she was public about what school she worked at. If she was, that is an incredibly stupid move. Like, you keep that shit to yourself. Although, I wouldn't be surprised if people just found out, or if a student requested it anonymously to, like, troll her because they're a wee little shit. But the schools so far seem pretty aware of the whole thing and, you know, don't seem to take a lot of these complaints very seriously, but they do talk to her about a lot of them, which is the right thing to do. At least they didn't straight up just go, hey, we've got this tip, you're fucked, you have to leave now. Because that would be, honestly, unspeakably, like, fucking horrible for her. I'd feel really bad. But this is almost why I don't give her as much shit as a lot of you probably expect me to give her, because when she makes these videos, almost gagging for views, like really trying to get views and money out of it and squeezing the content for everything that she possibly can, it's like, I mean, these Reddit twats have ruined her life. They've got rid of her job. They've made her quit her job. They've made her job as a teacher extremely uncomfortable. So when you criticize a lot of the annoyances that she is prone to every now and then, you have to understand that part of it is your fault. You have created this monster to an extent, and it's incredibly dismissive of the responsibility you have to just ignore that fact. Like, there's grey areas here. Things are complex. You can do a shitty thing, but if you are driven to it by, you know, some circumstances in your life, it's like, sometimes those things become a lot more understandable. Not justifiable. If it's a shit thing to do, it's a shit thing to do, but you can understand the mentality behind it a lot more.
I really think the reason that person emailed the school was because of my infamous tax date video, which is probably my most viral video to date, and the amount of hate and negativity I received for that was absolutely insane.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. People judging her off of a video like that is clearly, you know, the main purpose of it is not to tell a story, it's to make money. I don't even judge people who steal shit to make money, because I have no idea what their financial situation is like. Don't get me wrong, I don't justify it. I don't think stealing is the right thing to do, but I'll never judge someone for doing it without knowing what their life is like. If stealing food is the only way you can think to help your family survive, then I will definitely understand the mentality behind those acts. It doesn't mean I have to think that it's the right thing to do, but it does mean I can understand. Just like I can understand how Molly doesn't have a fucking job anymore, so she needs to make these videos, and she needs to make them as dramatic as possible, because she knows that's how she gets views. And that's why she shifted into political content recently, because politics right now is very lucrative and a very, very popular thing to talk about. It doesn't mean I think she's doing the right thing. I think she comes across as a real twat every now and then. I think she's really tone deaf every now and then. I think that the assault story, like the fake assault story, was genuinely a really shitty thing to do. And I do judge you for doing something like that, because there's other ways to make money and get views without commodifying trauma like that for so many people. Even in this rant that I'm having now, I'm sure I've contradicted myself a couple times. It's like, fuck man, people are complex. These stories are complex. It's never as simple as you're a bad person, you're a good person. There's so many, like, quandaries and shit to think about.
The fact that people think I actually was going to give my social security number to a 23-year-old I've never met. Also the fact that people were calling me really inappropriate terms for those that abuse children because I was going on a date with a 23-year-old. There was a big risk here of defamation and a big risk of jeopardizing my livelihood.
Okay, so with the social security number thing, that's on you, Molly. You can't say in the video, I'm gonna give my social security number to him, and then a few months later be like, oh, the fact that you guys actually thought I would do something that I said I would do? Guys, I lie all the time. You can't trust me with anything. It's like, no, you said it. You said you would do it, and people believed you. Would you rather we just don't believe anything you fucking say? Because I understand that, to be fair. There's no way these dating stories are real. I was fooled into thinking that they were real in the last video with that one bloke with the mustache. I thought that was a real story. Unbeknownst to me, he was chatting shit. It was an epic prank. I got bamboozled. Silly old me. But with the comments about you being like, you know, a threat to children, for lack of a better term, I mean, we know what she was referring to there. Yeah, those are completely unfounded. I mentioned the whole age gap thing in the last video, and even then, when I mentioned that it could possibly be a weird thing, I never made any allusions to the weirdness of it being related to her having a thing for younger men because of their youth. That never came into the conversation. Or maybe it did by association or like indirectly, but you know what I mean, not in that same way. Like, that is just a completely unfounded argument. A little bit weird, sure. Predatory, fucking definitely not.
Apparently, a parent in the school community reached out to my school and mentioned concerns about my TikTok. But what got so confusing about these conversations is I would always ask my school, do you view that I violated our school's community guidelines and social media guidelines? Because I always stand by my content, as I've said from day one. that I have not violated our community guidelines. And so if you think I have, please let's discuss that. They were never able to give me a direct answer, which showed me that they obviously didn't think I was violating the standards, because if I did, they would either do some sort of disciplinary action against me or potentially just fire me.
Yeah, I don't think that her TikTok should violate any community guidelines for the schools or anything. I mean, there are teachers on TikTok who record themselves in the classroom, like teaching the class, and some of them even show the students, which I definitely don't think is a good idea, but they seem to keep their jobs. Like, this is nothing compared to that shit. If she was being piled pressure on because of that reason, maybe she was just at a weird school with not very well put together community guidelines.
So I was shocked by this information, first of all. And then, I'll be honest, I just was not jumping up and down at moving to middle school. This would have been my 5th year teaching. 4 of those years I've been in a 3rd or a 4th grade classroom. I'm not in a mood for a career change like that in teaching. I think one of the best things about teaching is I'm getting emotional now saying this, but one of the best things about teaching is getting to improve upon what you did every year. And I came to really love teaching 3rd grade.
Look, man, that sucks for you. Like, seriously, it really does sound awful. Especially if everything you're saying is going down exactly as you're explaining it. Because there's no doubt in my mind that you definitely embellish a lot of the stories in your videos. I don't know if you're embellishing any of this shit or if it's all going down exactly the way that you're saying, but if it is, you're being fucked over hard by life here. And sometimes that shit happens, and it is a shame. But it is not a viable excuse, in my opinion, to quit teaching altogether, to quit having a day job altogether and put all of your chips in on TikTok. Not only because TikTok as a whole is not stable, especially when you only have 100,000 followers, but also because you are damaging your reputation now by doing more and more extreme shit. And if the trend keeps going, if that keeps continuing, if the line keeps getting higher and the bar keeps raising and you need to keep doing more dramatic things to stay relevant and financially stable, you will eventually fuck yourself over way more than you've been fucked over now. This is nothing compared to what you'll end up doing if you get desperate. I'm telling you.
If doing a simple change in grade level by a few grades to a different subject area, if that was enough to make you want to run away from teaching, how attached do you really feel to teaching then? If social media and the amount of judgment you're receiving from it is not enough to make you run away from social media, what is that saying? So, sorry, my contact is still acting up. My head was spinning because I was like, what do I want to do in this next phase of my life? And then what led were like months of turmoil, basically, where I talked to everyone in my life. Like, I talked to friends, family, guys I went on dates with. Like, I talked to everyone about this existential crisis I was in.
First of all, don't talk to guys about your career on the first date to this extent. Like, your career's fine, but to talk about these existential crises that you're having and, like, huge career moves that you plan to make or don't know about yet, that's not exactly first date conversation. That's like accountant conversation. And I mean, saying that, I realize the irony of it because you did go on a date with an accountant where you talked about stuff like this, but you get what I'm trying to say here. I find it hard to even blame Molly for a lot of this. Like, it just goes to show how fucked the school system in America is. I don't doubt that she was being paid way less than she deserved as a teacher, because most teachers are being paid way less than they deserve. And as easy as it is for me to sit here and say, do not quit your job, you need a job to make money because TikTok is not stable enough, it's a lot easier said than done. Like, I'm not in her shoes. As much as I can empathize and sort of understand how difficult the choice must have been for her, I really don't have the right to say, Molly, you are an idiot for doing what you did, because once again, I'm just not her, and I wasn't in that situation. And the more she describes it, the more I can think like, fuck man, as much as I don't agree with your decision, I definitely understand it.
I shine, I thrive. Give me a mic, put me on a platform, give me a platform for my voice. And look, I got it. And look at how successful it's been. Look how well received it's been by thousands of people. And I made money from it. Then the other person over there is like, yeah, but how much money have you made, Molly? Is that really sustainable? And then I'm like, not enough right now, but it could be.
See, that's the issue right there. It's not enough. It's not sustainable enough. Like, it's great that you're doing what you love. It's great that your dream is coming true to an extent, more than, most people who have the dream of being, content creators online. Like, you have taken the steps, you've done it for a while, and it's beginning to pay off, which is great. I'm really happy for you, genuinely. But I guess I should also mention that back when she made these videos, she was received a lot better, and as time went on, people are beginning to like her less and less. And like I said before, I think that increases non-linearly with how long she is doing TikTok solely full-time, because she has to take paid partnerships that people don't like, which contradict her statements of like, oh, we shouldn't do paid partnerships, we shouldn't do TikTok shop, for example, and then a week later, doing a TikTok shop about a Christmas tree, and then responding to comments being like, yeah, I know I said that, but fuck man, this Christmas tree is great. Like, that is what happens when you rely on TikTok solely to make your income, and it's not enough money. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and desperate measures, unfortunately, don't make you seem very likable. And if you're not very likable, your career is gonna be either unsuccessful or a sad one as like a lolcow. And no one wants to live either of those lives, in my opinion. They're both very, very, very depressing paths to go down.
I go into this meeting, I'm asking the same questions I've always asked. Does the school consider that I have violated our school's community guidelines or social media guidelines? And then what is the school's stance on me maintaining a public social media platform while teaching at the school? And I can't even fully describe to you their answer to that because it was so convoluted and confusing. It was like a total peeing around the bush type of answer. It was never a direct yes or no, ever. Like, it really started to make me feel like I was going a bit crazy because I felt like they didn't like my social media. I felt like they thought it was a problem. By nature of the fact that they were asking me to come to a meeting to talk about it, and yet they would never tell me it was a problem. And so I didn't know what to do. And I just thought, this is never going to go away, right? Like, is this really sustainable, teaching and having social media at the same time? And so I've decided I'm leaving education. I don't know if I'm leaving education forever.
I hope not. I hope you don't leave education forever. I think you've got a decent resume because you've worked in so many schools, some abroad even. It's like, you could definitely get back into it if you so please. Probably at a different school though, because this one has treated you like shit. And I hope that that's what you do if, like, things start going downhill on social media. I hope you don't decide to just ramp up the dramatism of what you're doing on social media and, be a bit more mature than that, hopefully, and actually get, a job in teaching, which you can do. As shitty as it is that you're getting underpaid in teaching, at least you are getting paid, which is what you need.
Want to know what the real problem is? Do I know the real problem? Let's get into it. What's the real problem? I don't make enough money. That's the problem. I can sum up everything back to that. I don't make enough money as a teacher.
If you don't make enough money from teaching and doing TikTok at the same time, then how do you expect to make enough money without one of those outlets? How do you expect to make enough money solely on TikTok if the combination of them both still wasn't enough? I'll give you this, it's ballsy. It's really ballsy for sure. It's a brave thing to do to quit your job, but I mean, the line between brave and foolish when it comes to quitting your day job to pursue whatever dream you may have when it's not fully accomplished yet is very, very blurry. I mean, you can bet your bottom dollar that I did not quit traditional, conventional working places until I knew for a fact that this YouTube shit would work out. Thanks for that, by the way, guys.
If I made enough money as a teacher, I would get rid of my social media platform and I would just teach. Because it's that fulfilling. It's that rewarding. It is that beautiful of a profession. Like, teaching is so, like, how could you ever do anything more pure and more positive for the world than teach? How could you tell me a more positive job? I know there are many other positive jobs, but for me at least, like, I can't imagine a better job. But I don't make enough money. I'm barely surviving. I lived a very high quality of life abroad teaching. Very high quality of life. And I would go back abroad again at some point. But right now I just need to be with my friends and family. In the US, I've only been teaching here since January. And I'm barely surviving, people. I'm barely making rent. I'm on a payment plan right now with my rental company because I couldn't afford my rent for months. Like, I am financially struggling so much.
I mean, yeah, what I just said still stands. If you're not making enough money doing both, how are you going to make enough money doing one? Like, you're going to have to ramp. This is probably why you've been uploading way more, to be fair, which I understand. Like, what other choice do you really have? I've said this so many times. you're now being forced to do shit that makes people hate you, like the assault thing. You're probably thinking, oh, because this is my only source of income now, I need to find a way to get people engaged, to get people to watch my next TikTok without doubt, no matter what. They need to see the product that I'm promoting, use my link, I need as many people to see this as possible. How do I do such a thing? Maybe I should fake that I was assaulted on a date. And look how that turned out. You know what will happen if you don't get a real job? A lot more of that shit. Or, alternatively, you don't make enough money again. It's a sad life. It's really sad, but life is fucking difficult. Life is really, really fucking difficult. And that's why I definitely don't envy you, Molly. Like, at all.
I'm scared that this will all flop and explode in my face and not work out. But if that's the case, then I can always go back to teaching, or if that doesn't work out, I can just find something else. I don't know.
I mean, at the very least, I'm glad that she is using teaching and, you know, other jobs as a backup option. Like, that is wise, at the very least. I hope she means it, by the way, because a lot of content creators, they get sucked into the internet thing that they can't imagine a life outside of it, like, after a few months of doing it. And I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of that, by the way. I truly can't imagine myself doing anything other than this now that I'm, like, deep into it. I just hope that, you know, she has it in her to pull out if things get a bit too shit. And to be quite honest with you, I think now would be a good time to do something like that, because, I mean, it's not looking good, bruv. We should go over the bloke that I really wanted to cover in the last video, but couldn't for whatever reason, because the account was taken down. Not sure why, but it's back up now. So we'll be able to see the perspective of somebody who is going on a date with Molly, as opposed to, you know, Molly's side of things. So this will be very interesting.
Alright, I know this is going to be hard to believe, but everybody's asking about these dudes that Molly Rutter has been dating. Are they even real? Do they exist? I'm here to tell you that they exist. I am one of them, and I didn't want to say anything because, you know, she's made a bunch of videos about me, but I figured it was, you know, I had to come out of the woodwork and just kind of clear the air.
Okay, so first things first. This bloke here, I'm a Brown Guy is his account name, looks somehow 19 and 40 years old simultaneously, and it's honestly kind of mesmerizing. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's handsome as fuck, but just in a way you don't usually see, you know what I mean? Anyway, onto what he's actually saying. I'm honestly quite shocked that Molly's stories are real, like they're about real people, because I would assume, and maybe this is just me being on the internet for too long, but I would assume that majority of her stories are fake, or at least embellished versions of true stories. So the fact that there are actually men that exist who she has made videos on is mental to me. I mean, that doesn't mean that she's not faking some of the stories, but if we're to take it at face value, fuck me, she's going on a lot of dates. And as we covered in the last video, none of them seem to be working out for her. And I think it's because the concept of her content as a whole sort of disrupts her from getting into a relationship, because if you get into a relationship, there's no more content for you. You can't go on any more first dates. There'll be no more stories. I would love to be a fly on the wall during a date with Molly Rutter, which, to be fair, I guess this is the closest thing we'll ever have to knowing what it's actually like to be on one of those dates. So we'll keep watching.
Look, it started off normally. We were texting, we were chatting, we were asking, you know, basic questions. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite color? What type of music do you like? Do you like the new Planet of the Apes trilogy? How do you feel about Disney ruining Star Wars?
Fuck me, I forget how boring being single is. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite movie? Go fuck yourself. I hate that shit. I really do hate that shit. Not to be one of those guys who's like, oh, I just hate small talk. I'm a deep thinker. Let's engage in some incredibly philosophical conversation, because I hate those pricks just as much. Maybe I just don't like people. I will say though, I don't want to dish out criticism and not give anything in return. So one of my favorite questions to ask, unironically, is if you're in a room of 100 people and you have to pick the thing that you would be best at in this room, it's 100 random people, what one thing would you choose that you know you're better than the 99 other people in this room at? And if you're wrong, you die, so you need to get it right. I just think it's interesting to see what they respond with. It shows like maybe what they love, what they like, what they hate. Also, how specific will they go? Will they treat it like a joke answer? Will they take it seriously? I genuinely think you can derive a lot from a person with questions like that. I mean, I'll put it this way, I'd be a lot more engaged and interested in someone if they hit me up with a question like that and not, what do you think of Star Wars? Not some, you know, oh, do you speak Spanish? Like, they're answering as though they've just been pulled up to make an icebreaker in front of the Year 7 classroom. You know when you used to do that shit? Like, the teachers just stood there, like, everyone get up, say your name, and a fact about yourself, and then 10 minutes of boredom proceeds. No, it's dating. It's meant to be fun. Add some spice to your life.
And, you know, after some time went by, I was like, okay, I guess we should just meet up in person. So we decided, hey, we should meet at, either Olive Garden or Chili's, and we decided on Olive Garden because, when you're there, you're family. And I will say this, when I showed up, I was disappointed. I was definitely catfished. The pictures she had used were a few years older. She didn't really look the same. I was a little annoyed, but at the same time, I had used a couple pictures of myself where my beard was a little darker, so I kind of felt a little hypocritical. So, initially I was like, I should just get out of here, but I had driven to Olive Garden and I was hungry, so I decided to stay. And yeah, we sat down at the table, and this was red flag number one, was she told the waiter that we didn't want the all-you-can-eat breadsticks.
Okay, I'm not even going to comment on the breadsticks. I've never been to Olive Garden. I'm a big, strong British boy. I don't think Olive Gardens exist here. But correct me if I'm wrong. Secondly, surely the first red flag would be, her catfishing you. I feel like that much fluctuation in your body, whilst, it's fine, bodies do fluctuate, but it's not an accurate representation of how you look now. Is a bit different to your beard being a little bit, darker. Say you were on a date with me and you were expecting this to turn up, and then I turn up and I look like how I looked in a different video. I'll put a screenshot up now. My beard's a little bit bigger there, isn't it? You wouldn't say you were catfished by any means, would you? But if you had met 90-kilogram Dankyjabo from early COVID, who's been in bed for 2 weeks straight because of his crippling hives, yeah, maybe that would be a catfish. Sprinkled a bit of lore in there for you. You like that shit?
And I was like, wait a second. What? We didn't even discuss it. She just made the decision for us. And I should have right then and there just got up and left, but I didn't. I was hungry, so I stayed. And things got weird.
Should you have gotten up and left? If I'm on a date with somebody and they went, nah, I don't think we want starters, actually, and my response was to get up and leave without saying anything, I feel like I'm equally as weird. Surely just go, actually, no, I would like a starter. Or, just talk it over with them. I mean, I know you're not in a relationship yet, but communication's still important. Don't get me wrong, it is weird that she's making the collective decision without conferring with you first, but you still have a mouth that you can talk and disagree with, you know what I mean? I'm only saying this because, I don't want to jump into this video and treat everyone else like they're a saint and Molly like she's a devil. I want to be fair here, you know what I mean? And it's just dating. Nothing evil's going on. So the only things that are bad are wee micro things, wee slight annoyances. Because even with the catfishing thing, what are the stakes here really? You waste a couple hours of someone's time. You've got a bit more fat in person than you do on your pictures. Ooh. The horror. Yeah, it's not ideal, but you've not shut up an orphanage, have you? And a lot of people have been acting as though she has done shit like that.
First of all, we're at an Olive Garden, and she starts asking if they have any specials from Peru, like the country Peru. And I was like, what the hell is she talking about? And obviously the waiter was also kind of confused and trying to answer her questions as calmly and as patiently as possible, but she was not having any of it. And so, there was this whole 2-minute exchange about, ma'am, this is an Olive Garden. We don't have food like that. And she insisted that she had been to an Olive Garden before and that they did have food like that. And I'm just sitting there going, this is really bizarre. So we got past that, and I'm already okay. And then red flag number 2 was, she's talking about a rock collection she used to have as a child. And then all of a sudden she turns to me and goes, don't I look like Megan Fox? What do you think? I look like Megan Fox, right? And I'm thinking in my head, no, first of all, you don't. Only Megan Fox really looks like Megan Fox, and this is really awkward. What do I do? And before I could even really say anything, she suddenly gets really upset, and she's like, fine, you know what? You're right. I don't look like Megan Fox. And again, I hadn't even said anything. I hadn't answered the question. She's like, I look more like Jennifer Aniston when she was on Friends. And at this point, I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
I think it's pretty fair to want to leave at this point. This does sound like a date from hell. If everything is as this wee brown man is, if everything is as this brown guy is saying, then yeah, I think absolutely it is awkward enough for you to be entitled to leave. I personally feel as though Molly is nowhere near as confident in person, on these dates, as she presents on her TikTok videos. I think that's also part of the reason why she brings her dogs everywhere, because they're almost like emotional support. Like, oh, I'm a little nervous about this date, but if it don't go well, I've still got my dogs to pet, and I love my dogs. There's a part of that that's endearing, I guess, but also it's like, I don't even know if she lets the dates know she's bringing her dogs most of the time. There's no mention of them here, though. I feel like that would have been the first red flag, so I'm assuming she didn't bring them for this date.
So one of the things that I didn't mention is that when she had shown up to Olive Garden, she was carrying a violin case with her, something about it was her cousin's and she needed to return it, and it was on the way back home, but she didn't want to leave it in the car, so I didn't really think anything of it, right? She busts out this violin and she starts playing a violin version of the Ghostbusters theme song. So like, I don't know if you know that, but you should go look it up. So she's doing this all of a sudden, and then she starts crying, and then the people next to us start crying, and then like half the restaurant is crying, and I'm like, I'm feeling the urge that I want to cry too, because kind of the rendition was super beautiful.
Okay, it's a load of shit. This isn't a real story. I've been fucking conned. Like, come on. This has actually annoyed me. Because the last video, that was like a perspective from Molly Rutter as well, from a bloke. That was fake as well. I got pranked. I got fake news. Do you think I'm a fucking idiot, TikTok? Well, I am, to be fair. I fell for it twice. I fell for it fucking twice. He's done a good job, to be fair. He's conned me. I feel silly. I've wasted my time. I don't even know if this video's going out now. It will. What I'll do is I'll put this bit at the end, because I recorded this bit first. I'll put this at the end, so you can see me getting duped. Okay, so for the next section of the video, I want to address the Molly Rutter snark page, which has posted about me. It's one of the top posts of the week, I think. A large YouTuber posted an hour-long video on Molly, and it's under the tag Molly Media Mention. It has 102 upvotes and 92 comments. Now, as incredible as 102 upvotes may seem, it is actually fuck all considering there's 92 bastard comments. And I'll be honest, I skimmed through this earlier and it is so funny I just had to include it in this video. So let's go over the main complaint that these lovely Redditors had with my video. The first words out of his mouth are Molly Rutter has grown rapidly in size over the past few months, and I immediately clicked it off. Here's that clip, by the way. Molly Rutter is a TikTok influencer who has grown rapidly in size over the last few months. I'm sure me and you can agree that it's just a pretty standard way of introducing the video. Like, she is a content creator who has, in fact, grown rapidly over the past few months. No one knew who she was a few months ago, and now a lot of people fucking do. This commenter, however, didn't exactly see it that way. Nope, this isn't it. This is fat shaming and misogyny. This isn't funny, clever, or insightful. This is hateful fat shaming and woman bashing. I don't like Molly. I think she's a genuinely bad person for the DV, etc. And that she's also just ridiculously and highly annoying. None of that means fat shaming and commenting on other people's bodies is okay. Especially when it's a man doing it to a woman, as it adds misogyny in. Now, I'm sure I don't need to make this clear to you, because I'm assuming that you guys aren't as dumb as this commenter, or as lacking in media literacy, right? I won't call him dumb. He's definitely lacking in media literacy, because fuck me. I mean, needless to say, I was not talking about her weight at all. I was talking about her popularity. And believe it or not, like, half of this thread, half of the 90 comments here are in agreement with this bloke. They all think I'm a twat for saying that she's fat. That is not what I was saying. In fact, if you watch the video, I was defending her a lot about, like, you know, people calling her shit like that. I think it's fucking weird and people shouldn't do it. Now, luckily, as time has gone on, these comments here have been rapidly downvoted, which is a shame for them because, I mean, Reddit clout is the most valuable form of popularity of all. One person mentions, I agree, this creator sucks and has also made weird comments about not believing something as being SA because the individual changed their mind. This is not it. I don't know what this guy is referring to here, so I can't comment on that, but the response is mental. Agreed, he is clearly a misogynist. I ended up watching more of it, and he even seems like a predator, to be honest, and I don't use that word lightly. Well, clearly, you fucking do use that word lightly if you're willing to use it about me based on the first 3 fucking minutes of my Molly Rutter video. I'm so confused, confuzzled, bewildered by what I possibly could have said that portrayed me in such a light. And while I won't be a hypocrite and comment on his looks, I will simply say that it is highly ironic that a man like him feels he can tear apart a woman's looks. I mean, fair enough if you think that. But first of all, I wasn't tearing apart her looks. I didn't do that once in my video. But you wouldn't know that, because you didn't watch the fucking video. Also, you can't say you're not going to comment on my looks and then go on to comment on my looks. It's like me saying, look, I'm not going to call you a fucking idiot, but I think you're a fucking idiot. And before people call me mean, I said I wasn't going to do that, so just chill out, yeah? I do a lot of PR/communications work and know that a creator with his following and experience chooses their words and scripts carefully. I don't see how that isn't, at best, a double entendre. If I truly thought I was wrong, I would say that. I have no skin in this game, lol. It just seems very obvious that that's what he meant. Which is even more incredible when you consider that he edited this comment to say, I do retract my statement/assumption that he continued to body shame her later in the video. I'm really glad I was wrong about that and he didn't do that. So what the fuck are you even talking about then? What's the point of everything else? By the way, big up to all the Redditors here who are defending me and like saying nice things. If you're watching this video, I appreciate you, homie. There's even this wee thread here where people are saying this comment thread has really weird energy. And someone goes, what, the people who watched 2 minutes and then clicked off, which is exactly what a lot of people are doing. And then the same bloke that's been going off on me this entire time decides to respond with, clearly we picked up on something that alerted our spidey senses. You have got to be fucking kidding me here. This is comical. Which I guess he did bring up Spider-Man, so comical is the perfect word to describe it. I very well could be wrong, you are, but that continues to be the impression I got from this man's initial statement. And you know what the greatest irony of this whole thing is? The title of this post is a large YouTuber posted an hour-long video on Molly. Now, because I'm not a fucking idiot, I am not taking your description of me as large to mean that I am rotund, shall we say. It's very clearly a term you are using in relation to the size of my channel, which, by the way, I don't consider large for, like, YouTube standards, but, you know, I appreciate the compliment. Pretty fucking surreal that people consider my YouTube channel to be large now. Once again, thank you. And you know what? That's about as positive as we'll get for this video, so I think we'll end it there. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this wee update. It'll be a bit more of a chill one this time. Thank you all to my lovely patrons who, as always, are being scrolled through. Their names are here. Can you see them? They're brilliant. All of them. Class people. But aye, all that aside, hopefully you enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe, like the video, as always, if you enjoyed. If you didn't, dislike it and tell me that I'm a prick in the comments. I think that's about it this time, though, so I'll catch you all in a bit. Bye.